Hello everyone, a very good day to you all. Today our group will present chapter 5 which is Managing Human Capital to our beloved lecturer which is Dr. Danila Binti Saleh and all my fellow friends. Alright, let's turn to content of this chapter. First, definition of human capital. 3 elements of human capital, definitions of human capital management and human resources management, activity of human resources, theory of motivations, which is content theories, Maslow hierarchy of needs theory, or different modified needs hierarchy models, Herbert's two-factor theories, motivations hygiene theories, Maslow's achievement motivations theory, process which is extrinsic theory, which including expectancy theory, Rome expectancy theory, the Porter and the lawyers expectancy model, equity theory, goal theory, attribution theory, the 6 employee retentions, the 7 psychological content, the 8 developing employee and abilities motivations, the 9 improving opportunities for employees contributions. The last one, human resource plan. The definitions of human capital. What is human capital? Employees are lifeline of an organization, and organizations cannot survive if there are no employees. Organizations run with the help of individuals who contribute in their own ways in its success and productivities. Employees spend minimum part of their day in office and strive hard to achieve their goal and objective of the organizations. Employees must be motivated from time to time so they can develop a sense of attachment toward their organizations and also delivers their best to the organizations. The second subtopic I will discuss with you guys, which is 3 elements of human capital. We can see that these personal assets are highly interrelated and have implications for both individual and organizations. First one is intellectual capital. Intellectual capital is at the heart of individuals' development, the creation of knowledge and personal values. It is enabled to the exercise of choice. The second element of human capital, which is emotional capital, is enabled to continuous growth, enable fulfillment of ambitions, maintained through self-awareness and insight. The last element of human capital, which is social capital, it arises from the factors of relationship, traditional hierarchical roles and responsibility versus integrated structures and relationship of trust and reciprocity. Okay, we proceed with the third one, definitions of human capital management and human resources management. What is human capital management? Human capital management refers to managing an organization's employees from them to contribute significantly in the overall productivity of an organization. In a layman's language, managing workforce of an organization refers to human capital management. Human capital management is defined as the process of accruing, training, managing, retaining employees from them to contribute efficiencies in the process of the organizations. In simple words, we can classify that upgrading the existing skill of an employee and extracting the best out of him or her refer to human capital management. Next, human capital management has more to do with how organizations treat their employees. Senior management must ensure timely growth and development of every individual's concerns for him or her to contribute efficiently when required. The key objective of every organization should be to train its employees so that they can become efficiency resources later on. In human capital management, organizations treat their employees as important resources that play an instrumental role in productivity of the organizations. The development and management of individuals in line with their key responsibility area not only make them an indispensable resources in the future but also ensure their 100% contribution toward the organizations. Let's turn to the human resources management. Just now we discussed human capital management. Let's see the difference between human resource management and human capital management. Human resources management (HRM), which can simplify call it HR, is a function in organizations designed to maximize employee performance in service of an employer's strategy or objective. HR is primarily concerned with the management of people within organizations and emphasize on policies and systems. HR departments and units in organizations typically undertake a number of activities, including employee recruitment, training and development, performance appraisals, and rewarding. For example, managing pay and benefit systems for the employees. HR also concerns with individuals' relationship, that is, the balancing of the organizational practice with the requirements arising from collective bargaining and from governmental laws. As for your information, HR is a product of the human relations movement of the early 20th century, when researchers began documenting ways of creating business value through the strategy management of the workforce. The function was initially dominated by transaction work, such as payroll and benefits administrations. But through globalizations, company consolidations, technological advance, and further research, HR as of 2015 focused on strategy initiatives like mergers and acquisitions, talent management, succession planning, industrial and labor relations, and diversity and inclusion. In the current global work environments, most companies emphasize lowering employee turnover and on retaining the talents and knowledge held by their workforce. New hirings not only entail a high cost but also increase the risk of a newcomer not being able to replace the person who was working in that position before. HR department also strive to offer benefits that will appeal to workers, thus reducing the risk of losing corporate knowledge. 4. Activities of human resource. Let's see the human resource activity: recruitment management, workforce planning, induction management, training management, performance management, compensations and benefits, attendance management, leave management, benefit management, overtime management, pay slip distributions, timesheet management, employee information or skill management, employee surveys, exit interview and process, health and safety. Alright, that's all from me. I will pass to the second presenter.
Moving on to the fifth subtopic of today's presentation, we will be learning about theories of motivation while managing human capital. There are two types of theories. First is content theories, and the second one is process or extrinsic theories. I'm Fitri Alia, and I will be explaining about content theories. There are four types of content theories that we will be learning. First is Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. It's Alderfer's modified need hierarchy model. The third one is Esberg's two-factor theory. And the last one is McClelland's achievement motivation theory. Let us go one by one of each of these content theories, and let's start with Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. Maslow's hierarchy of needs are represented in a triangle form, in which the lowest level are physiological needs, followed by safety need. The third level is belongingness and love needs, followed by esteem needs, and the highest one are self-actualization. All of these 5 levels are classified into 3. First is basic needs, psychological needs, and the highest one is self-fulfillment needs. The lowest level of this triangle of needs, especially the basic needs, needed to be achieved first. Once the need has been achieved, it no longer motivates the employee. Employers then should focus on the upper level of the achieved needs to motivate their employee. However, all the first modified need hierarchy model are improved based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. In all the first modified need hierarchy model, there are 3 significant levels: existence, relatedness, and growth, in which the other name of the first modified need hierarchy model is ERG model. E stands for existence, R stands for relatedness, and G for growth. Now the first ERG model, in which it starts with existence. The existence level focuses on the employee's physical and material needs. It concerns with sustaining with human existence and survival and cover the basic needs of a human. The second level in ERG model is relatedness. It concerns with the relationship between human beings to the social connection or environment in which they lived with. They focuses on social interaction and relationships with other humans. And the highest level of ERG model is growth. It concerns with the development of the potential of the human and covers self-esteem and self-actualization. The third theory that we need to know in content theories in this chapter is Hesberg's two-factor theory. The two factors are hygiene factor and motivation factor. This theory suggests that to improve job attitude and productivity, both of these factors need to be considered and need to be attended by the employer or the HR and not leaving out one of these two factors. Hygiene factors are needed to ensure that employees are not dissatisfied. Meanwhile, motivation factors are needed to motivate the employees to a higher performance. If the management wishes to increase the satisfaction of the job, then the employers need to focus on the motivation factors in which it concerns with the nature of the work itself. Employees need to be exposed to the opportunities for personal growth, for gaining status, assuming responsibility, and for achieving self-realization. However, if the management wishes to reduce job dissatisfaction among the employees, then the company would have to focus on the hygiene factors in which it concerned with the job environment. They would have to control the policies, procedures, supervision, as well as the working conditions of the employee. If the management are concerned with creating motivation as well as reducing job dissatisfaction, then they will have to focus on both hygiene and motivation factors. And if the company totally leave out Hesberg's two-factor theory, in which they do not focus on the hygiene nor motivation factors, it means that their employees are both not dissatisfied as well as not motivated. The fourth theory under content theories are McClelland's achievement motivation theory. He outlined that there are 4 socially developed needs or motives, in which 3 of these are connected to Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the upper level, which is self-actualization, esteem, and love needs. These 3 are achievement, affiliation, as well as power. In the achievement needs, a person would have to drive to succeed and set realistic goals. Meanwhile, in affiliation need, a person would have to have the desire for interpersonal relationships and to have a friendly relationships with others. A need of power is a need to influence the behavior of others. There are 2 types of power, which is socialized power, in which there are group goals and exercised on behalf of groups. And the other one is personalized power, in which they are characterized by the satisfaction of dominance over other people and personal enhancement. The intensity of these 3 motivation theory actually depends on individuals as well as the nature of the occupation itself. For an example, the need for achievement is the most critical for a country's economic growth and success. It links to the entrepreneurial spirit and the development of available resources. This table is actually a summarization of the 4 content theories that we learned just now. We can see that these 4 theories are represented into higher level of needs and lower level of needs respectively. We have learned all 4 content theories under theories of motivation for managing human capital. Let us look on the second type of theory, in which is called as process or extrinsic theories. Now I will pass to Nurin Aisha.
Hi, my name is Nurin Aisha, metric number 264863. So today I'll be explaining about the process or extrinsic theories. Extrinsic theory tells that people are motivated by external influences such as reward and prefer to avoid consequences. There are 4 theories under this subtopic. The first one is expectancy theories, which consists of Bloom's expectancy theory and the Porter and Lawler expectancy model. The second one is equity theory, which consists of Adams' equity theory. The next one is goal theory, and lastly, attribution theory. For expectancy theory, people are influenced by the expected results of their action. The underlying basis of this theory is motivation is a function of the relationship between first, effort expended and perceived level of performance, second, the expectations that rewards will be related to performance, and third, there must also be an expectation that rewards are available. So, as you can see in the box, all the relationships that I have mentioned is linked to each other, and that is why this is called motivational link. Now, I will explain about Bloom's expectancy theory. It is also known as VIE theory or valence theory. This theory stated that behavior are chosen on the basis of probability perceived and on the benefits, personal utilities, or satisfaction that can be derived from the outcomes. This theory claims that individuals should be rewarded with what that person thinks as important rather than what the manager thinks important. So, in order for a person to be motivated, the effort, performance, and motivation must be linked. There are 3 important variables under this theory, and the first one is valence. Valence is like the feeling about the importance of expected outcome, or in other words, the preference of the particular outcomes. Okay, for example, if someone is highly motivated by money, other offers such as holiday or time off might not give much interest on him. Alright, sometimes a person might want something but then get only little satisfaction from it, or might want to avoid it, but after get it, it provides satisfaction. That is why valence is known as the anticipated satisfaction from outcome, not the actual satisfaction. Next is the instrumentality, which is the belief that well performance will lead to a valued outcome. There are 2 levels of outcome. The first one is first level outcome, which is performance related, like increase in performance, and the next one is the second level outcome. This is like the need related, such as reward. And the last variable is expectancy. It is the belief that increased effort will lead to increased performance. People will expect that choice of particular action will lead to desired outcome. For example, employee might think, if he put more effort, will it increase his performance? Next is the Porter and Lawler expectancy model. This model goes beyond motivational force and considers performance as a whole. It stated that effort does not lead directly to performance, but effort is actually mediated by individuals' abilities and traits, and also individuals' role perception. This model also sees motivation, satisfaction, and performance as separate variables. Not only that, this model also recognizes that job satisfaction is more dependent upon performance, since performance determines job satisfaction, not job satisfaction determines the performance. Under Lawler's revised expectancy model, it is stated that the attractiveness of alternative behavior depends on the 2 types of expectancies. The first one is effort performance expectancies, EP. It is the perception of the probability that a given amount of effort will result in achieving an intended level of performance. So, the closer the relationship between effort and performance, the higher the EP expectancy score. The second one is the performance outcome expectancies, PO. It is the perception of the probability that a given level of performance will lead to a particular need-related outcomes. The closer the perceived relationship between performance and outcome, the higher the PO expectancy score. Not to forget, both types of expectancies are measured on a scale between 0 and 1. Alright, now I will explain the second extrinsic theory, which is equity theory. This theory stated that employee motivation level depends on the perception of being fairly treated for the task-related efforts when compared with other employees. There are three main components of equity theory, which are input, output, and input-output ratio. Okay, inputs are the employees' contributions such as time, skills, experience, and education. Meanwhile, outputs are the elements that the employees receive for doing their job such as pay, bonus, insurance, and recognition. On the other hand, input-output ratio is the evaluation that the employees made subconsciously based on the return of their efforts. Under Adams' equity theory of motivation, it focuses on people's feeling of how fairly they have been treated compared to the treatment received by others. It is based on the exchange theory because social relationships involve an exchange process, which is the exchange for input and outcome. When there is an unequal comparison of ratios, the individual will experience sense of inequity. Now, we will move on to the third extrinsic theory, which is the goal theory. Basically, this theory tells that goals are the major source of motivation. Specific goals will result in better performance because it tells exactly how the work needs to be done and how much effort is needed. In order for the employees to accept a difficult goal is by getting much encouragement. There are two types of goals. The first one is mastery goals, which reflect the desire to gain knowledge and skill. The second one is the performance goal. This is the desire to look competent in the other's eyes. Okay, for the last extrinsic theory, it is the attribution theory. Attributions are the reason for our own behaviors. Attribution theory explains how and why people make these attributions. There are two types of attributions, which the first one is dispositional attribution. This attribution is caused by internal characteristics of a person, such as personality, rather than the outside forces. The second one is situational attribution. This attribution is caused by some situation or events that are outside of a person's control.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Mukrizami bin Azmi. My matric number is 265438. So I'm going to continue with employee retention. So what is employee retention? Employee retention refers to the ability of organization to retain its employees. Employee retention can be represented by a simple statistic. For example, a retention rate of 80% usually indicates that an organization kept 80% of its employees in a given period. However, many consider employee retention as relating to the effort by which employers attempt to retain the employees in their workforce. In this sense, retention becomes the strategies rather than the outcome. We go to the factor of the employee retention. So the first one is the work schedule flexibility. The way today's workforce approach work is different than past generation. The old clock in, clock out mindset is an element of the past. Employers must prepare and accommodate for a new workforce sense of individualism. Other than that, workers today value flexibility to choose when and where they work. Though we do see an increase in work flexibility year over year, many employers are still resistant to change. So we go to the second point, which is the health and wellness benefit. When you think about workplace perk, what come to mind? For many of us, thoughts of free food, coffee, which is often a part of the office perk we have come to expect. Actually, group have benefit have become the standard rather than a notable differentiator when choosing whether or not to stay with an employer. Where the difference come into place is what workplace wellness offering are actually being provided. We spend almost 60% of our waking hours at work, meaning our workplaces have a huge impact on shaping employee lifestyle, eating habit, and overall health. So, are you making sure your employees are as healthy and supported in their effort as they could be? Factors such as health, spending account, or a gym membership reimbursement. So, it's a relatively small investment, but it simply shows that employers care about their employees' health and well-being. So the last one is the top performer recognition and reward. It may seem like a no-brainer to reward the employees keeping the light on, but even the best manager let things slip through the crack is often no fault of their own, but of a poor employee management system. It leads to an environment where going the extra mile just isn't worth the effort for a top performer. So there are three ways to keep to be a top performer at the company. So the first one is keep them entertained, whether that be through a creative project or exciting social events. Assigning monotonous work lacking creative aspect is the best way to have a top performer looking for an exit. The second one is give them visibility. When goals are met, give those responsible the spotlight. Praise them appropriately throughout the company and ensure the management take note. The last point is make them responsible and then reward them. When they have proven themselves time and time again, give top performer more responsibility. More responsibility is a signal of trust, and developing a relationship of trust will only strengthen their investment in your business. So, why employee retention is important? So basically, employee retention is a critical issue as companies compete for talent in tight economy. The costs of employee turnover are increasingly high, as much as 2.5 times and employees 2.5 times an employee salary depending on the role. The payoff for organization that focus on employee retention is well worth the time and investment. According to the Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM, increased performance, better productivity, higher employee morale, and improved quality of work, not to mention a reduction in turnover, are all organizational benefit. The bottom line is that by focusing an employee who truly want to be a part of the company and who are focused on contributing the organization's overall success according to the SHRM. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Hanis Zulaika Fitri binti Yusri and my metric number is 275397. Today I'm going to present the subtopic 7, which is about the psychological contract. Psychological contract is an implicit exchange relationship between the employer and the employees encompassing mutual expectations and obligations of each party towards the other. Psychological contracts are also known as unwritten understandings about mutual needs, goals, expectations, and procedures. Primarily, the psychological contract refers to the relationship between an employer and its employees and specifically concerns mutual expectations of inputs and outcomes. Psychological contract is also considered as one tool for increasing the employee engagement and performance. So, there are 9 features of psychological contract. The first one is psychological contract entails incorporation of beliefs, values, needs, aspirations, and expectations of employees and employers, which includes belief about implicit and explicit promise and obligations. The second one is psychological contract is established when there is mutual satisfaction on the part of both employees and employers vis-a-vis their expectations. The third one is psychological contract is a dynamic nature. It can constantly change based on an individual's socio-economic situations and career context as well as an organization's business situation. The fourth feature is psychological contract forms the basis of schemas. Schema refers to an individual's belief, frames of reference, perceptions, values, and concepts. It has to be necessarily be different from individual to individual. There could be a number of psychological contracts between the employees of an organization and the organization in particular. Schema serves as a guideline for an individual's information collection, assimilation, interpretation, actions, and expectation, thus simplying cognitive mechanism by which individual makes sense of events and situations. The next feature is number 5. Psychological contract implies mutuality and reciprocity. Contract is formed when both employees and employer achieve a stable position vis-a-vis their expectations and obligations from each other. Number 6. Psychological contract is a central determinant of work behavior which specifies the dynamics of employment relationship. Next, number 7. Psychological contract is entered voluntarily. There is no obligation on part of the employee or the employer to enter into this implicit contract. This means there are choices for both parties. Even if an organization offers a job to an individual, the individual has no obligation to accept the job and vice versa. Next features number 8. Psychological contracts have belief antecedents. For example, both parties' perceptions of contract would be dependent on past experience, especially breach of contract. The level of presence of such antecedents would depend on the degree of the breach experience in the past. The last feature is psychological contracts may also be categorized based upon context of individual and group. Agreements can also be made among group members or between a group and the group leader. This can be accomplished through a discussion about what the group wants to get or do and what the group is willing to give or give up to get the members what they want. The understandings are then written down and distributed and reviewed. The latter review demonstrates commitment to the contract and allows for dealing with whatever may have come up in the meantime. There are 4 types of psychological contract, which are transactional, relational, transitional, and balanced. The first contract is the transactional contract. The transactional contract is a short-term contract based on specified performance. This indicates that the employee is required to perform only a fixed and defined set of duties and to do only that much which is asked for by the employer. The employer is obliged to offer adequate compensations to the employee in exchange of his duties. The employer may or may not offer any training and development to the employee. The employee has no obligations to remain with the organization in the long run and would be committed to work only for a limited period of time. The employer may not guarantee future employment beyond the limited period of time agreed upon. The second contract is the relational contract. The relational contract is a long-term contract based on non-specified performance. This indicates that the employee is obligated to remain in employment with the organization and do what is required to keep the job going. The employer also fulfills its obligation by providing stable remuneration, long-term job security, and steady career growth. Employee is obligated to be loyal to the organization and support the objective, needs, and interests of the organization. The employee should be a dedicated and a loyal corporate citizen. The employer fulfills its part of obligation by ensuring the well-being of the employer and their families. The third contract is the transitional contract. Transitional contract is a short-term contract based on the non-specified performance. This is essentially a transition period between two states of psychological contract. Here, the employee mistrusts the organization's motive and is unsure of job security and career advancements. The organization may also mistrust the motive of the employee and may withhold important information from the employee. The employee is uncertain about his future obligations to the organization. The organization may also deny to ensure employment guarantee to the employee. If not managed in this psychological contract, the employee may continue to receive ambiguous communication from the organization and become confused as to whether his contributions will elicit adequate compensation from the organization. The quality of work life of the employee could begin to erode. The fourth contract is the balance contract. Balance contract is a long-term contract based on specified performance. This indicates that the employee is obligated to constantly develop marketable skills and make themselves employable. The employer is obligated to enhance the employee's long-term employability both inside the organization and outside in the job market. The employee is obligated to develop skills required by the employer in continuously changing business environment. The employer in turn obliged by providing career development opportunities inside the organization. The employee is obligated to successfully perform newer and more demanding organizational tasks which are changing in nature. The employee should help the organization continuously to make the organization competitive. The employer is in turn committed to promote continuous development and help employees successfully achieve escalating performance benchmark. Lastly, I'm going to explain about the psychological contract and its importance to retention. First, they help bring light to the employees' goals or the needs that motivate them. Second, they allow managers to clarify employees' aims and evaluate the extent to which those needs that can be met. Third, they are perceived as a fair balance between what the employees want and what the employees are expected to give. Lastly, fourth, they have the mechanisms for following up, ensuring that an agreement is put into work and addressing change as they occur. That's all from me. I'm going to pass the next presentation to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Faiz bin Sumamri, and my metric number is 265086. I will continue with subtopic developing employee ability and motivation. In this subtopic, there are a few steps. First of all, you will learn how to detect the poor performers, and second, how to diagnose the factor of poor performance, and third is how we enhancing abilities, and fourth is how we improving motivation. Third and fourth steps, we can do it simultaneously or separately. So we move to the first step, which is on dealing with poor performance. So first of all, we need to understand why our employees show poor performance. This is important because employee performance will affect organizational performance. There are many organizations that only want to look for a quick fix, such as they're going for simple solution by us. Do we need to train employee or just move the employee? To make sure that our employee to have an excellent performance, so we need to distinguish what is making our employee not showing a good performance. Is it lack of ability or is low of motivation? These two has very different meaning and how it affect on employee performance. Okay, after we understand the concept on the first steps, so second, we need to diagnosing poor performance on our employee. Is it low of motivation or is low lack of ability? If it's because of low ability, it may associate with several aspects. In this, we can see that employee may feel over difficult on the task. It is so difficult beyond their knowledge and skill. As manager or leader, we can see that this employee already shows strong effort to do the task, and has explored all the knowledge that required, but still not showing any kind of improvement over time. We also need to know where the people that we hire is matched with the jobs, otherwise poor performance will occur. Next step is enhancing ability. In this step, it has 5 ways or method on how we enhancing employee ability. First is the supplies. Means that focus on resources provided to do the job. For example, employee provided a good internet connection or a good amount of workspace and etc. Second is retrain. Means that employer provided additional training to the team members. For example, give employee training in the area that they do not master yet. Explore with them whether they have the actual skill required to do what expected. Third is refits. It means that we analyze the individual component of the work and try out different combination of tasks and abilities. This may involve rearranging the jobs of other people as well, because your goal is to retain the employee, to meet the operation needs, and provide meaningful and rewarding work to everyone involved. So fourth is reassign. When refitting the job does not turn the situation around, look at reassigning the poor performer. For example, we transfer he or she to more suitable department. And lastly is release. After we try all the 4 ways above, but it did not give any impact to the poor performance, so it means that we need to let this employee go. Otherwise, we need to bear all the loss that caused by this poor performance. So the next step is improving motivation. Sometimes poor performance has its roots in low motivation. When in this case, we need to work closely with the employee to create more motivating environment in which to work. There are 3 key of intervention that may improve people motivation. First is setting of performance goals. Goal setting is a well-recognized aspect of the performance improvement. Employees must understand what to expect of them and agree on what they need to do to improve. For example, we give them sales target, production target, and many more. Second is provision of poor performance addition. When we when we have set up appropriate goal, we need to help our team members to succeed by regularly assessing their abilities and take action when needed. Okay, third one, provision of performance feedback. People need feedback on their efforts. They have to know where they stand in the term of current performance and long term expectation. So next is on how we lift employee performance. This slide shows on how we going to enhancing ability and improving motivation simultaneously. Means that at the same time, by target group that consists by 10 employees. So by using this target group, we can allocate certain numbers of employees to things that they need. Okay, such as 2 employees need more resources, and another 2 employees need more clarity around their role within the organization, and 2 more need more development opportunities and training. One employee maybe need more regular and specific feedback on their performance. One employee may need better communication with their manager. One employee need a better relationship with their co-workers. Lastly, one employee need a coach or mentor other than their managers. Okay, that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Hi and a very good day everyone. I'm Tunisha Anapurpon Ravichandra, metric number 264319. Today I'm going to present about subtopic 9, which is improving opportunities for employees' contributions. The first tip is faster open communication. Faster open communication is where people feel free to give their opinions, inputs and ideas, and information is shared freely. Leaders ensure that they give employees such a space to make their thoughts, feelings, and observations known easily and regularly. Include them in decision making and goal setting or help them understand that their input is valued even if leaders decide to go a different way. Make sure acknowledge them for sharing and reward valuable inputs that helps the company. The second tip is reward self-improvement. Employees have a unique insight into the requirements of their own role, and when they direct their own development with support from leaders, those needs are more likely to be addressed. Leader can encourage employees to self-improvement by run incentive programs, personal development trainings, and help employees set a plan for growth and reward them as they advance. It helps employees to pursue their own career goals and interests, building confidence. The third tip is encourage safe failure. Leaders can give employees the opportunity to try new things in a way that doesn't put the company in danger. Create milestone checkpoints or set up laboratory environments where people can test new ideas and learn from the failures as well as the success. Then employees will gain understanding and feel comfortable innovating. The fourth tip is provide plenty of text. Many employees receive the basics when it comes to the information they need to do their jobs. While this is commonplace, it fails to empower employees because they don't have enough information to truly make their own decisions. For example, if employees don't know what the end goal is or given the project, they may miss out on valuable opportunities to improve the finished product. Therefore, leaders should share the information from their minds in a structured and consistent manner and give employees more information about the work they are doing and how it relates to the world gives them the power to make judgment calls about their responsibilities, which will help them employees feel more involved, give them a sense of ownership, and likely lead to a better result. The fifth tip is clearly defined roles. The leader should define the boundaries and roles within which their employee is free to act because people who don't know what they are supposed to do cannot do their duties very well. Therefore, by setting clear expectations, leaders giving their employees permission to take decisions while ensuring the decisions are in line with the company goals. Next, the leader should also establish specific roles and responsibilities with employees so all are clear and can work together cooperatively. The sixth tip is require accountability. While it may seem contradictory to empowerment, consistently holding the employees accountable for their responsibilities will empower them to take genuine ownership of their work. Depending on the workforce circumstances, this could mean administrating consequences, praising them for work well done, or providing incentives for improvement. When people take ownership of their work, or if they see others not being held accountable, they are more likely to put in extra effort. The leaders also be consistent and diligent in measurements and rewards so employees are motivated to do their best. The seventh tip is support their independence. Leaders should support employees' independence by giving them reasons and opportunities to step out on their own and even lead others. They may stumble, but they will learn a lot and build the respect of their colleagues while preparing to be a great empowering leaders themselves in a someday. The last tip is appreciate their efforts. Showing appreciation for work well done makes it more likely that employees will do it again. It will also encourage them to continue to be innovative, take action and to solve the problems. They need feel that leadership appreciates their contributions and values their participation. So, leaders make sure say thanks to them no matter how small or insignificant the task may be. Make sure acknowledge their contributions, efforts, and values their participations. That's all from me. Thank you. I will pass to the last presenter.
Thank you, Tanisa. Hi, my name is Nurhazani Bente Abdul Hamid and my magic number 275582. Today, my presentation is going to be focused on Human Resources Plan. What is Human Resources Plan? Human Resources Plan is the process that links the human resource needs of an organization to its strategic plan to ensure that staffing is sufficient, qualified, and competent enough to achieve the organization objective. HR planning is becoming a vital organization element for maintaining a competitive advantage and reducing employee turnover. Human resources planning is a process that identifies current and future human resources needs for an organization to achieve its goal. Human resources planning should serve as a link between human resources management and the overall strategic plan of an organization. Aging worker population is most Western countries and growing demand for qualified workers in developing economies have underscored importance of effective human resources planning. The objective of human resources planning is to ensure the best fit between employees and jobs while avoiding manpower shortage and surplus. They have three key elements of the HR planning process, which are forecasting labor demand, analyzing present labor supply, and lastly, balancing labor demand and supply. The first key element of the human resources planning process is forecasting labor demand. There are several ways to forecast the business needs in order to predict how many workers need to run their business and which role these employees need to fill. Some of the factors to consider include the regional and national, the situation of economy, the internal business finance, the demand for the products or service, and the short and long-term growth expectation for the business. To forecast staffing needs, take a look at the existing staff and see which current employees are likely to transition into new position with the company. Also consider how many of the employees may leave in search of outside opportunities. Next, the second element of the human resources planning process is analyzing present labor supply. Analyzing present labor supply includes and evaluating internal staff, which will occur when forecasting staffing needs, as well as external staff. Externally, management needs to evaluate the demographic of the workforce that is available. This can include factors such as mobility, education, the employment rate and stat, and lastly, federal government laws and regulations that can affect the industry, business, existing and potential employees. Evaluating all of these factors helps to determine if they have access to the number and type of employees that need to fill staffing forecasts. The final element of the human resources planning model is to determine how to balance the demand for employees with the supply of employees available. For example, when a shortage of employees, this will determine what type of recruiting efforts for business will participate in the attract the employees it needs to fill needs within the company. It also requires balancing full-time and part-time needs. When the company have a surplus of employees, this requires them to consider employees laid off, retirement, and situation where employees may need to be demoted or moved into a lateral position rather than receive a promotion. Next, strategic human resources planning. The competency-based management supports the integration of human resource planning with business planning by allowing organizations to assess the current human resource capacity based on employees' current skills and abilities. These skills and abilities are measured against those needed to achieve the vision, mission, and business goals of the organization. If the available people lack necessary competencies, the organization plans how it will develop them. Targeted human resource strategies plan and program work to address these gaps in the organization workforce through targeted hiring or staffing, employee learning and education, career development, and lastly, succession management. These strategies and programs are monitored and evaluated on a regular basis to ensure that they are moving the organization in the desired direction, including closing employee competency gaps. Corrections are then made as needed to the broader human resources planning process. This strategic HR planning and evaluation cycle is depicted in the diagram to the right. I think that's all from us. Thank you.